continue to drive back the dreadful arts, we are now entering the territory of multi-dimensional drawing. You've already learned to harness the gray abyss and are fresh off the visionary textural summoning. It is time to put these to greater use. For this quest, you will follow the 12 tasks as you cast value, texture, and shape into the cauldron of creation, with a dash of uncertainty. Hey, it could be worse. You could be asked to complete the 12 labors of Hercules. Fear not, young pupil. You are here to learn the ancient ways of casting the dreadful arts back into Hades. Follow these tasks in order and give yourself enough time to complete each one before moving ahead. Each task requires some input rather than being a directive, so choose your own adventure and do battle against the dreadful arts. Do not skip a task. Each task tests your mettle in the cauldron of creation. Now go forth and conquer. The master has laid down some gray abyss. He has also cut his banisher into a tiny banisher that can be wielded like the sword of Excalibur. See how he cuts the gray abyss into order by summoning a grid with the ruler of truth. Now the master selects 5 magical objects of different sizes to cast onto the grid. See how he does this with poetic flair. Shapes are placed around the conjuring box to create interest, while overlapping one another. Once completed, he casts upon these shapes more gray abyss and visionary texture. No dreadful shapes here. Recall your visionary textural summoning and utilize those textures which are the most righteous for each shape. Consider how each texture or value works with one another. The biggest defense against the dreadful arts is to possess a wider vision than a singular focus on individual shapes. See the entire composition unfolding before you. How big should the shapes be? Where should they be placed? How should they overlap? And should they? And what abysmal value or visionary texture should you use to create harmony within the conjuring box? Now is the time to test your mettle. Call forth the banisher and erase 50% of your conjuring box. Weigh your options, for banishing carries consequences but also victory. Be strategic in your banishing. Once complete, turn your spellbook upside down and see the conjuring box in the upside down world. Since everything is upside down, go ahead and use your non-dominant hand to summon a new shape that overlaps some of the other shapes. But make this new shape mighty like Hercules and give it contrast. Do not be afraid of drawing over areas. Do not be afraid to change direction when working. Your ability to be flexible and respond to the way each composition unfolds increases your majestical prowess to the level of mage pupil instead of pupil. If you haven't figured it out by now, this quest is all about making work and reworking it. It's about breaking down your sense of preciousness, of the things you make, only to build you back up again deep within the burning cauldron of creation. Leave your sense of preciousness and hesitation behind. Have the courage to take a risk, the willingness to fail, and the discipline to keep working. How can the master teach you the ancient and secretive ways of the prismatic cosmos if you cannot deal with uncertainty? Steel yourself, for the dreadful arts crouch in the shadows, ready to strike at a moment of weakness. Select one shape within the conjuring box to honor by crafting a pattern for it. Give this pattern either the gray abyss or visionary texture, or both, but do it and do it with vigor. Again, your metal must be tested. Banish 25% of the conjuring box. Turn your spell book right side up and see with renewed eyes. Now as the fires burn fiercely in the cauldron of creation, summon all your strength to craft this drawing into the multi-dimensional drawing that balances line, value, texture, and shape into a finished conjuring. In addition to using the enchanted graphite and the time eraser or banisher, you may also use Maximus Blackus marker. No color shall see the light of day here.